All right. And we are now live on YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. I'm Tyler Ellison. I'm joined by some amazing friends. I have with me Marcia, and I have with me Yahira as well. And we're going to be bringing forth my guide, Ryok. He's going to be taking time to deliver to all of you information about an upcoming transmission we're going to be doing on the 29th. And he's also going to be addressing any questions that you may have. So I'm very much looking forward to all of this. So Marcia, Yahira, thank you both for being here with me today.
Hello, Tyler. Hello, Marcia. Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Hi, guys. Very happy and excited to be here, as always.
Always excited to listen to Ryok. It's just
Oh,
a teacher for me.
that's perfect. You guys are amazing. Thank you both for being with me for another Ryok project. So amazing. So just for everyone who's tuning in live right now, I'll describe the way the question answer portion of this works. So on our YouTube live stream, there's going to be a chat box where people are typing in all types of different things. And this is the area where you can manually type in any questions that you have for Ryok, and our hosts will read that to me while I'm in the state, and then Ryok will address whatever the question is that you have presented. If you're asking about anything super personal, just provide as much context as you can possibly give for the nature of your question so we can really understand it from as many angles as possible to give you a really expansive answer. And if you're asking about anything that is very complicated, or let's just say perhaps is uncommon in nature, these are situations where it's also a good idea to provide context and definitions as well, just so everybody's on the same page. And then again, a more expansive answer can be given. So those are the two major guidelines to keep in mind for your questions. But that concludes really all of our protocols for the transmission. So without further ado, I'm going to close my eyes and get into the state, and I'll bring Ryok through, and he'll announce the upcoming transmission that we have on the 29th, Monday, and then we'll get into the Q&A. So thank you for being here, everyone, and I will see you all at the end. Enjoy. It is our species' highest joy and passion to be able to interact with all of you through this particular channel. And in this transmission today, we shall describe to you the upcoming event that we will be doing on your date of Monday, the 29th. And this event shall be titled Moldavite Magic. And in the event, we shall describe to all of you the many different functions and purposes connected to the stone that is a part of your planet that you call Moldavite. We will talk a little bit about its origin, its purpose, why this stone was sent, in a sense, to your world, and how you can utilize this stone to assist you in your expansion of consciousness, and to assist you in really exploring what many of you call your unique signature frequency. For understand that you all have what is called a signature frequency. And whenever you follow your joy and your passion, you are vibrating in those moments in resonance with your signature frequency. So this is something you can become more aware of within yourself. You can begin to cultivate an awareness of the signature frequency. You can expand it. You can make it more obvious. so you can more holistically interact with it and utilize it to assist you in following your joy and your passion. For Moldavite in many ways amplifies one signature frequency, so it's easier for you to feel. So we shall be getting in to these types of techniques, how to use Moldavite to assist you in following your joy and your passion. And we will also talk about how the stone can assist you all in activating more of what you would call the cosmic Christ consciousness. For understand, you have what you call Christ consciousness, which represents in many ways the archetype of the awakened human, and in a more expanded sense, awakened humanity. The cosmic Christ consciousness in many ways relates to the idea of a hybrid race that is yet to be, that is partially human, partially hybrid, and is also fully awakened and understands its role and relationship with source, with all that is. And this dimension of self, the cosmic Christ consciousness, is another layer, another dimension of self that the Moldavite can assist you all in activating and awakening. And in the transmission, we shall describe to you all different exercises that you can do to use the stone in all of these different ways. For it can become, for many of you, a very powerful tool and ally in your ascension process. So we look forward to delivering this information and more to all of you in the upcoming transmission. And now we make ourselves available to each of you. So if you wish, please present to us any questions or topics you would like to explore together this day.
Yes, hello, Ryok, how are you?
We are ecstatic and delighted to be able to have this particular co-creative interaction with you. And how are you this day?
I'm doing very, very good. We have a lot of questions already. It's amazing. I love the energy of just people wanting to know, because that's a reflection of me so much.
Yes, yes. And through one another, you all get to see just how expansive you really are.
Exactly. So our first question would be, what daily ritual or plan with steps can you recommend us to make contact with extraterrestrials?
All right, there are a few things to factor in that will, in general, tune you to the frequency of different extraterrestrial groups. The first thing to incorporate into a daily ritual is some type of exercise or time spent interacting with your Earth, with your planet. To have some type of game or ritual or activity that you can engage in that connects you with your Earth. This daily is essential for extraterrestrial contact. Ensuring that you are living your passion in as many ways as possible, that you are not holding back in any area of your life. This is another essential thing, because the realities where open contact occurs happen with versions of humanity that are more so aligned with their joy and their passion. So make sure each day you really allow for yourself to explore those things and to express those things. And if you notice you're holding yourself back, to make adjustments, to create a new way for you to express that energy that is perhaps easier for you or is more in alignment with your passion. So each day as well, having some type of checklist, some type of inventory that you can create for yourself, where you can really evaluate if you are holistically expressing your passion and your joy in your life, or if you are holding back anywhere. Becoming more specific in your knowledge in relationships to these topics will greatly assist you, so you can really understand with greater specificity just how exactly you are expressing yourself in your life. So having a daily inventory, a daily checklist that looks at these things is also quite important and can assist you in understanding your evolution over time. You can incorporate things like journaling into this. This is also something we would suggest here. Understand that fundamentally, all that really is required in relationship to contact is a strong, healthy relationship between yourself and your earth, having a healthy lifestyle that is respectful of your earth, so on and so forth, and following your joy and your passion. These two things are truly all that is required. Because when you live your life in such a way, you are matching the signature frequency of the types of people that are present on the versions of Earth where open contact is occurring. So those are the two most important things to focus upon to accelerate open contact in your personal reality.
Next question. As the veils get thinner and thinner, what actually are quarks and how do they fit into the geometrical process of crystallizing matter in 3D?
These frequencies relate primarily to the idea of what you would consider to be subatomic particles and how these types of particles interact with one another. So understand that your ability to relate to these things will increase. You will find more means of understanding these things. You will find new ways of interacting with these things, and you will begin to understand more of your species' relationships with these types of subatomic particles. For understand that everything in the reality is connected. So as you begin to expand your consciousness, you will also begin to perceive in more descriptive and specific ways how these types of subatomic particles connect to your consciousness and how you can utilize them in all types of different ways that relate to things like your technologies, that relate to things like space travel, that relate to things like altered states. There are all types of different applications that are available here. So more will be revealed as your species continues to refine itself in these areas.
Can you please tell us the most probable time frame of when the hybrid children will land?
The most relevant date we can observe in relationship to the hybrid children and their connection to all of you relates to your year 2027. So understand there are opportunities for contact with hybrid children before 2027 and after 2027. But during that year in particular, there will be more opportunities for global contact. There will be more opportunities for global sightings and global interaction. So in relationship to more members of your species getting on board with the program and interacting with hybrid beings, there's likely to be an increase during that year.
Wow, that's very, very close. Next question. I want to manifest wealth. How can I achieve that in a way that is simple for me?
All right, well, it's all about understanding the level you can most directly work upon. Because as you know, you are multidimensional. There's a physical dimension to yourself. There's an emotional dimension to yourself, a mental dimension to yourself, a spiritual dimension to yourself, so on and so forth. So some of you are, let's just say, more closely connected to certain levels of the self than others. So whatever level of the self you have the best relationship with, let's just say, or the most healthful relationship with, begin at that level. So if this is the mental level, this might relate to the idea of shifting your thoughts, shifting your thought patterns, creating intentional thought forms that relate to abundance and wealth. You may find that you are very connected to the idea of the emotional level. So this may be going into feeling states that relate to wealth, that relate to abundance, that relate to prosperity, and feeling these energies and using those energies as motivations for different projects in your life. So the mental level may be, let's just say, the level that is most relevant for you to work on. It may also be the idea of the physical level, and it may simply be rearranging the idea of your budget. It might simply be the idea of reworking your relationship with your finances and taking physical actions. That might be the level that's most relevant for you. You may also find that you are inspired to take actions on multiple levels. The key is to really hone in on where you are excited to make changes in relationship to your finances and start there. Let the feelings of passion and fun guide you in that process. So a way you can really simplify this and create very specific methods of cultivating wealth is to connect to your future self, whom has already created wealth, whom is already embodying their abundance, and whom is truly living in a way that is reinforcing and reflecting their unconditional prosperity. There's a version of you that exists that meets the description we have just mentioned. So the key is through your imagination, through visualization, to match the frequency of that future version of yourself who's living in such a way, whom is exploring that type of reality. And from here, once you have really honed in on their frequency, once you can feel them, once you can feel a deep empathic psychic connection to them, you can begin to ask them questions. You can begin to ask them for guidance. You can begin to follow their examples. You can show to them your challenges or your concerns or your questions and watch how they respond. Watch what they do and begin to apply the information that this future self shows you. And if you do this each day, you will become that future self. And you will find that you embody the same characteristics of wealth and prosperity. So those are two different angles that you can use to approach the situation. So have fun with that and explore and understand that when you are in true alignment with yourself, when you are fully honoring yourself, abundance, prosperity, these types of things become more resonant to you. You become more synergistic, more harmonious with these types of things, because those qualities are a part of your true nature. So when you embody your true self, you also call forth those qualities and dimensions into your life.
Beautiful. Next question. Among the versions of me that I can choose to be, meaning the human me in this lifetime, do I understand correctly that the one that I perceive myself to be is only determined by my focus right now?
Yes, exactly. Understand that you are creating with your consciousness a certain type of net frequency. Consider this to be the average energy state that you are creating in the moment. And it is that net frequency, in a sense, that average energy state that gives rise to the specific types of experiences that you then have in your physical life. So there are many, many, many different things that are factored into this net energy state, including your feelings, your thoughts, the types of narratives or belief systems you're holding on to, the types of relationships that you're in and how you're using those relationships. All of these things work together to create a certain type of net frequency. And then this, in a sense, organizes the major themes of exploration that will then be available externally and internally as well. And as new experiences are had, as that energy changes, then what is available to an individual then expands and changes to match the change they have created within their own consciousness.
Okay, next question. Can you please share the difference between the definitions of faith, trust, and confidence?
Well, in many ways, they are all relating to the idea of the same thing. And in many ways, they are describing the idea of the physical mind's relationship to a phenomenon that exists within the physical reality. Because understand that in the physical reality, everything changes. And understand as well that some things, let's just say, are more predictable than others in relationship to how they change. So if you can really understand how something is likely to change, you can, in a sense, predict its patterns to a high degree of certainty. And this can, in a sense, allow for you to develop a strong sense of knowing that thing, of deeply understanding that thing, of feeling in many ways connected to that thing. So confidence and these types of mental states have to do with the physical mind's relationship to something and how it is able to understand that thing. However, what you consider to be true knowingness relates to a type of relationship to information, you could say, that is unshakable in nature. So this represents a type of relationship that transcends the physical mind altogether. So while the physical mind may have things like a level of confidence or trust in relationship to certain things, the spirit, on the other hand, utilizes knowingness, which is completely, totally unshakable. And the idea being is once you have accessed those dimensions of the spirit that knows these ideas to be true, that knowingness can never be shut down. It can never be turned off. It becomes an unconditional dimension of you. So those are some of the differences between what you might call the types of mental relationships to ideas that can exist and the spiritual relationships to ideas that can exist.
Can you talk about the splitting realities?
Yes. Well, understand that you are all, again, using in the moment that net frequency that we have mentioned to create your own unique parallel reality. Each of you is doing this. So each person that you see is in their own unique universe, their own unique reality. Even though you all appear to be in the same room, on the same world, you're not. You're all in your own unique realities. You're just matching one another's frequency sufficiently enough to create the illusion of all being in the same reality, of all being on the same planet, but that's not the case. It's just a shared consensus reality experience that you're all giving rise to. So right now, many of you are using this time of transformation that you're going through to hone in on certain frequencies that you wish to amplify in your lives. For many of you, this relates to your goals. It relates to your personal dreams, your personal passions. For many of you, this might relate to things like your businesses. It might relate to your relationships. There are all types of different things you may prefer to amplify and experience more of in your life. The idea is now, during these times of transformation, whatever things you're focusing upon, whatever energies you're engaging in, will become amplified. They will become expanded, and they will become more boldly a part of your daily physical life. So right now, what's happening is the things you are feeding energy into, the things you are empowering during these times, especially as you go forward, will become, let's just say, the energetic patterns that you find making up the experiences that are a part of your life in the years to come. So right now, you're coding energetically for the years to come. And once you pass the idea of your winter solstice, once you move into the idea of your year of 2022, those energies you're personally honing in on, that you're personally cultivating, will begin to expand and multiply, and will become more deeply ingrained into the reality. You will begin to experience more of their effects, and you will begin to experience a densification taking place where the physical manifestations connected to those energies will become more solid, more tangible, more real. And what you'll find is, as you begin to densify and accelerate these frequencies, it will become easier and easier and easier for you to call more of them forth, to experience them in a greater way, in a bigger way. And it may become more challenging over time to call forth contrary frequencies or different energies. So right now you're building a framework, you're building a scaffolding that will become the foundation for your own personal reality, your own personal timeline. So after your winter solstice, that will expand. It will continue to expand into the year 2023. And for individuals who are energetically resonant with hybrids, once the energy passes 2023, it's likely their versions of Earth will have an increase in contact experiences. There will be a deepening of those worlds.
Next question. What is source and does it translate as log in and through us?
What you consider to be source both is and is not. And what we mean by this is source is all things. So everything you experience and do not experience is source. Past, present, future are all but simultaneous occurrences to source. All things are contained within it, including the idea of its opposite, because if source really is all things, it must also contain its opposite. So if source in that sense is all that is, its opposite would then be all that is not. So source in that sense also is, in a sense, nothing. And it is everything simultaneously. So the way that this everything and nothing translates into your physical reality is as the frequency of unconditional love. That's how you actually translate and experience the energies of source. So when you're dialing into source itself, that everything and nothing frequency, unconditional love is the way, the feeling, let's just say, that is connected to that experience.
How do you know who the questioner is when he asks a personal question on Zoom? By his voice or vibration through the screen?
Well, both, because understand that when an individual uses their voice to ask a question, the vibration of the question itself is filtered through their voice, which is its own unique form of vibratory expression. So both are utilized. The voice and the inflections, let's just say, and the qualities of the voice are used for information, as is the person's own personal frequency. Both of these things are factored in. And understand that when an individual speaks, because it is such a vibratory means of communication, a great deal of information can be read. A great deal of insight can be gleaned. Because the voice reflects all types of different things, both related to the subject matter being discussed in a conversation, and other things that are not being directly discussed can also be revealed through studying the voice. So we derive a great deal of insight through one's voice when we are having these communications. But the overall energetic frequency is also factored in.
How do you create oxygen on your ships?
The idea being that our energy field has the ability to teleport in different molecules and nutrients that are required for our longevity and our vitality. So understand that in addition to oxygen, the air around you supplies your body with a variety of different energies and elements. So recognize that the suits that we wear allow for our bodies, our pores, to teleport internally different types of building blocks and molecules and compounds, including oxygen, as well as elements that ultimately nourish our system and our body. So this is something that we're able to directly choose and create through our consciousness and our intention. And it's something that we're able to amplify and multiply through our technology, through our clothing. It enhances the process. but it's just a matter of tuning in to those frequencies we desire to take in through the breath, and then through visualization and intention, just drawing upon those frequencies, breathing them in.
If all lives exist simultaneously, then are we all wanderers?
Well, it depends on your definition of a wanderer and really what you mean by that. But technically, if you are just understanding a wanderer as a person who goes from place to place to place, linearly speaking, then yes, you could look at everyone as that. In a sense, you're all through one another experiencing infinite different points of view. So you're all, in a sense, wandering all over the map to every possible perspective, every possible point of view. So in that way, you could say yes.
What is Ryok's understanding of what humans refer to as demonic beings? Are they fallen angels or something else?
Well, the idea is there are a few different things that are referenced here. So what you call negative entities or demonic forces are actually negative thought forms that for the most part are generated by human beings that, in a sense, extend their existence through consuming negative energy that people create. So most negative entities are negative thought forms that people, humans, have given rise to. And these things become, let's just say, so filled with negative energy that they're able to use it as a fuel source to sustain themselves past the existence of the individual that gave rise to them. That's one expression of a negative entity. There are other expressions of negative entities that can relate to the idea of different extraterrestrial species that during more ancient times interacted with your people and perhaps, let's just say, interacted in ways that were either more negative or at least in ways that activated your species' fight or flight response system. So some of you associate demonic ideas with these types of beings. That's another connection to the concept that exists. And there are others as well. For some schools of thought simply see demons as other frequencies of consciousness that are nothing more than just energies that can be utilized for all types of different purposes. So there's many different ways to observe these types of beings, and it's not as if just one way is correct. It's all about using the definitions that work for you and support you in your journey. But this is a little bit on those beings and how different cultures and different peoples have understood them. To all of us, the Sasani, we see many perspectives as being accurate depictions of demonic forces. For example, we have observed what people have called demons being nothing more than, again, negative thought forms. We have also observed people calling extraterrestrials demons. So we see all of them, in fact, as being somewhat accurate because we've seen them all play out in different ways. We've seen them all be experienced as real by different people on your world. But fundamentally, these things are nothing more than just energies. They're just expressing what you would consider to be more of the negative polarity, more of the darker polarity. That's all. They're macro frequencies of consciousness that, in a sense, are representing the darker dimensions of creation. They're reflecting back to you all your own shadows, so you can see your own shadow qualities personified by these beings, so you can relate to them through these beings, so you can ultimately understand those shadow qualities within yourselves, thus allowing for you to more easily transform them. So through shining light onto these qualities, which these demonic forces can assist with, you can understand more of your own shadow. And that's a way you can relate to them positively, if, of course, you desire to do so.
So can that be like a thing for a human being to explore darkness or explore evil from a human perspective?
Absolutely. And many of you do this now. You're exploring those themes in different ways. And many of you are recognizing you don't need to choose them in the same way that perhaps you had been told you needed to. You're learning that you can choose a lighter path, a more preferred path. But yes, these forces have been involved in the exact types of processes you have just mentioned.
Okay. I was meditating on the idea that I am limitless. Could you talk about the extent and power to which we are creating our reality?
Every single thing is selected by your consciousness that occurs. Now, to truly understand this and how this works requires a different level of thinking than what your human brain is capable of performing. But understand every single thing in the reality is something that has been specifically selected by your state of being. So everything is included in this. The very words I am utilizing are a part of your co-creative process. They are not outside of it. The thoughts that you are thinking are a part of that process. The thoughts that others are thinking about you is a part of that process. Things that have not linearly happened yet are a part of that process. There are all types of different things that are, let's just say, activated through your frequency. It is through your frequency that you select these things, and you do it on a level that is beyond mind. You do it on a spirit level, on a higher self level, and that again connects to what we have called the template. So you're working on an energy level, an energy template level as the higher self. That's where most of this is occurring. Most of this represents the higher self organizing certain themes, and those represent the major themes of experiences that you then have in your life. And in a sense, the subconscious and the other levels of self will fill in the details that unify and link up all of those themes. But on every level, you are creating your reality, and you are creating every level of your reality. You're just doing it on a level that is beyond mind. So it's not a mental type of process, although your intellect is oftentimes involved. It uses levels that are more fundamental than mind. That
sometimes it's scary for me. The more I realize that, yes, it is happening. But
yes. And we understand that to many of you, it looks like chaos. It looks like entropy when you observe that level of co-creation. The idea being that all things that exist, again, are connected. Therefore, all things that are happening on the source level are connected infinitely to all other types of happenings, to all other types of paths and processes. So even though you might look at your life from the source perspective now and it might seem incomprehensible, recognize that in all of that, there is an order, there is a path, there is a process that your infinite intelligence is involved in and is weaving through your life. Your life is like a very specific string or strand of thread being used in something like a quilt. It is essential. All of the strands in that sense are essential for the quilt to be whole. And that's what you are all a part of. And through that multi-level co-creative process that you all utilize, you create that quilt through your experiences.
Next question. How to disrupt the continuity of physical reality?
Well, there are all types of ways, but the key really is through your imagination, because it's through your imagination already that you create the illusion of continuity. So right now, you're imagining time is moving forward. And thus, for you, time moves forward. And you imagine that with such intensity that should you look at your physical clocks, it appears that time moves forward. But let's suppose for a moment you just breathed and you got very relaxed, and then you imagine time moving backwards, and you used your breath, you used your will to exaggerate that feeling. So it became energetically louder as a feeling than the feeling of time moving forward. You could actually begin to really create the sensation of moving back and moving back and moving back and connecting with the past. So right here, just with imagination, as you can see, the sense of continuity can be disrupted. It can be altered. The imagination here really is the key. That's how you do it, because you're already using your imagination anyway to create what appears to be perfect continuity. So use your imagination to create experiences that reflect the opposite of that, and you'll experience that. The more you empower that, the more you will experience it as a constant in your life. Generally speaking, meditations and energetic exercises that are designed to manipulate time will distort one's sense of continuity. So any type of meditation where you're speeding up time, freezing time, or slowing down time will all assist you in altering the sense of physical continuity.
I placed 8 metal fractal Merkaba shapes in the 8 corners of a cube. Please describe methods or musical notes to transmit through this that neutralize the fight or flight reflex of the ego.
Well, in general, what we would encourage you to play with is what is known as the 528 cycles per second heart chakra solfeggio frequency. This particular frequency can activate within individuals the heart center and its intelligence. For understand, what you consider to be the Merkaba or the Merkaba energetically emanates, let's just say, from the heart center. The heart center is the center of the body. So when the Merkaba is built around the physical body, the two pyramids intersect at the heart center. So using something like 528 hertz can sufficiently activate the heart center so the physical body can become more energetically resonant with the heart field and the Merkaba. So your device will be more impactful to the physical body.
Could you comment on the Shapeshifter and Wanderer archetypes? I got a spirit guide reading recently, and I found out that my soul is a Shapeshifter and Wanderer.
All right, well, these two types of themes can support one another in that a shapeshifter can really adjust, you could say, their costume, their persona, their energy in a way that can allow for them to gain access to all types of different realities they wouldn't normally have access to. They will sometimes be, let's just say, selected, or they'll be, let's just say, sought out by people, because in some realities, they may be so visually captivating that individuals will seek them out, they'll be drawn to them. And these shapeshifters can then also, in a sense, alter their appearance, alter their energy, so they can then blend in and disappear. So they have the ability to stand out and draw attention through their appearance, but they also have the ability to vanish. They can open up different opportunities through changing their energy and their appearance. And they also, in a sense, can alter how they are perceived by others altogether. So these are all different qualities of the shapeshifter. This type of theme can naturally support a wanderer energy, in that when a person is going from place to place to place to place to place, there are all types of different people and energies and archetypes that are encountered. So if one also has the ability to shapeshift, they can easily accommodate the different energies that they come into contact with. They can very easily blend with those different energies or work with those different energies in a more preferential way. So the wanderer and shapeshifter archetypes go hand in hand together. And they are, in many ways, quite foundational types of archetypal abilities. These expressions of archetypal energy also expand into the dream world. So, in other words, these themes are also themes you're exploring while you're asleep. Your astral self also utilizes these same themes.
Can you for sure say this universe is not simulated? Even densities could be a virtual video game, or is there an exact fact that makes this impossible?
Well, it is a simulated universe. Your universe is a simulation, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a mechanical, technological simulation, like what you produce with your computers. It's different than that. It's not the same type of simulation. It's a simulation of your own consciousness. Your very consciousness is the technology that you use to create the experience of this universe. Without your consciousness, this universe does not exist. This universe is dependent, let's just say, on your consciousness. So through you, this universe exists. So you are the simulator of this universe. That we can say with certainty.
I'd like to know how high the probability is right now for the internet to be shut down, as I heard from another channeler that this may be likely.
Understand that what you are receiving from these individuals simply relates to the idea of the events that are relevant to a neighboring timeline where, let's just say, different negative agendas play out. That's all. So when you are accessing this information, just recognize this is information that relates to an alternate timeline. It's not necessarily your reality. It's not necessarily your trajectory. You can make it yours through matching its frequency and through choosing it as your energy, and it will become more probable. But if you say no thank you to it, if you do not choose it, the probability that you experience it will dramatically decrease, because again, it's dependent on you. It needs your energetic consent and validation in order to truly manifest. So you're being offered a choice when you are exposing yourself to this information. If you wish to resonate with it, empower it. If you do not wish to resonate with it, then validate it, but let it go and say, that's not for me. So you always have that power that is unconditional, and it is through your choosing that you ultimately align with whatever realities are most energetically compatible to your frequency. So if you choose in a way that represents love, that represents joy, your frequency will then be a match for those types of positive energies.
Bashar said in the Sasani society, everyone is responsible to everyone else to be themselves as fully as possible. Do they feel that responsibility to other races also in the same way as among themselves?
Yes, yes, because our sense of family has expanded past just our race. So we include all forms of life as our family. So yes, as a natural extension of that empathic connection that family members have for one another. So because our sense of family has expanded, our empathic capabilities have also expanded to include whatever forms of life we may be interacting with, even if those forms of life come from other species.
What can you share in regards of how one can have a palpable experience of communion with the divine? Also a bilateral communication with all that is. This pertains to the concept of enlightenment.
Well, if individuals are attempting to have conversations with these types of intelligences, the idea is to personify the intelligence into something that you can have a conversation with. Because if you just attempt to perceive God without personifying God, all you're really left with is basic symbolism, such as light emitting from the clouds or something like this. But when you take God and you, in a sense, personify God as an angel or as an ascended master, now you have given God an image that allows for this type of intelligence to then communicate with you, to interact with you. So if you are truly desiring to have communications with Source, let yourself explore different forms that can act as representatives for source intelligence that you can then converse with and receive information from.
What is the easiest, most effortless way to personal freedom?
letting go of the narratives that are ultimately false. That's all you really have to do. Just see the inherent falseness that is present within the negative ideas that are present within your consciousness and within your society. When you truly see this as clearly as you see daylight, you will be free. Your enlightenment will be instantaneous, because all at once you'll understand that all negativity, all negative limiting concepts ultimately come from a place of misunderstanding. Therefore, they are all, in a sense, inaccurate. They don't really accurately depict you. And because they are, in a sense, based in a misunderstanding, how could they ever have any real power over you? So when you really see that for what it is, you'll recognize that you are infinitely more powerful than any of those negative concepts ever could be. And they will fall away, and your true nature will naturally shine.
And our last question would be, do all beings start their evolution from first density upwards? Have you experienced?
No. There are many different ways that consciousness can incarnate linearly in relationship to order, be this order of density or order of dimension. It's all really about the specific type of theme needed for that being's macro evolution. So think of it like this. Just how right now in your physical body, there are many different types of processes going on related to things like digestion, or related to things like your heartbeat, or related to things like your breathing. There are all types of different micro processes working together to allow for these things to happen. Each lifetime is almost like one of these micro processes. So there might be one lifetime that, in a sense, seems very out of character, seems very irrelevant, seems almost like something you wouldn't expect for yourself to explore. But that lifetime may contain very specific experiences that can, in a very pivotal way, change the overall perception and experience of that individual's soul, thus permanently, in a sense, educating the soul in a manner that is unforgettable, and in a way that ultimately allows for it to have more of what it needs on its journey, so it may fully discover and explore itself in as many ways that are possible. So all experiences are fundamentally utilized by the soul, and they all, in a sense, are designed to work together synergistically in a big picture way. So your soul can eventually graduate, let's just say, to a level of experience that is beyond incarnation altogether. So right now, through all of your experiences on Earth, you are actually learning fundamental lessons that relate to your spiritual planes of existence that ultimately empower your soul to explore deeper into those levels and into those spirit worlds.
Beautiful, thank you. And it's already 3 p.m.
All right. We thank you all so much for your exciting questions that you have presented to us this day. And as always, our species, unconditional love and appreciation to each and every single one of you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler.
Right. Yeah, you're welcome. You're very welcome. I hope that was a lot of fun. I had a good time doing that. I hope it was clear. Did the information come out pretty smooth?
Always.
It did.
Yes.
Excellent. Fantastic. Sometimes I'm in there, I have like no clue. You know what I mean? So in those instances, I always like to check in. I'm like, that was like coherent, all those dots connected, right? And then people are like, yes. So yeah,
I saw some comments while you were answering some questions, and people were like, yeah, beautiful.
On point. Excellent. Good. Well, everybody who attended today, thank you so much. It's so fun to deliver these sessions. I love exploring Ryok's energy, and all of the diverse and colorful questions that you all bring help really interesting facets of information to come through. So it's so appreciated, because I get exposed to ideas and energies I wouldn't normally come into contact with. So that's always appreciated. And
exactly. I feel the same way. Like people from all over the world asking questions that you have no idea, but they answer your own, you know what I mean? Like the answers that come from Ryok answers my own. So it's just a beautiful creation. So thank you everybody for joining. And it's always a pleasure for me to do this.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. Marcia, thank you for being here with us too. It's so great to have you in this space.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And thank you for being this channel always, Tyler. You do it amazing job.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really do. And yeah, it's a very powerful constant. I feel grateful to have, something like that. Like I feel like we all have our things that remain constants throughout our journey, right? That keep us like centered and help us to draw power and wisdom into our lives. So I feel very happy channeling, has become that for me. It's very fun pillar.
Yeah, and we'll see everybody. Join us at the 29th, November 29th, 12 p.m. Eastern time.
29th, 12 p.m. In this video's description, I'll put a link to my email, and you can shoot me an email there for a ticket. My email is tellison700@gmail.com. And yeah,
Moldavite Magic.
Moldavite Magic. Yeah, everyone.
Everybody like crystals.
Yeah, it's a great stone. If you don't have a piece, I recommend getting one, especially for the transmission. It's one of the most catalyzing stones that you can get your hands on, and I can't recommend it enough. So I'll save the rest for the transmission. But everybody, thank you so much for being here with us. My unconditional love and appreciation to each of you. Thank you for sharing the space with me, and we'll see you very soon.
Much love to everybody. Bye-bye.
All right.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.